This is the town of Beta in the occupied West Bank. It hit headlines 3 years ago for being a model of non-violent resistance against Israeli settler colonisation. Local people used tactics to confuse settlers who had tried to pitch up on the hill. Their persistence drove them out.
The night confusion activities consisted of men, women, children and the elderly. A large group of men would light fires and flares and hike to the settlement. Another unit would use floodlights and lasers, and another would make loud noises.
But the settlement has since been transformed into an Israeli military base. Wafa Abdurrahman has spent nearly 2 decades leading an NGO supporting Palestinian journalists, covering uprisings, negotiations, armed and non-violent resistance. She says fatigue is growing in the occupied West Bank.
The division in the West Bank didn't happen again overnight or in October or last year. It has been happening. It was orchestrated. It's a policy of dividing the land and thus dividing the people. It's like the Swiss cheese. To make it worse, the Israelis are surrounding and shutting down each enclave by itself.
Further north, Israel considers Jenin the wasp nest of fighters. There, a model of armed resistance revived in 2021 soon spread to Nablus, Tubas and Tulkarem. But one researcher says the fighters are mostly defending their refugee camps.
The occupation separated cities through divisions between regions by destroying the economy and dividing societal structures, including camps, cities and villages.
While resistance, violent and non-violent, is mostly contained in camps, towns and villages, rights groups say Bedouins are mostly defenceless and are being pushed from their land. We attempt to reach one displaced community, but a roadblock prevents us from reaching them. A few kilometres away, we find another community.
There are 8 families living in this Bedouin camp. They don't want to speak on camera, but they did tell us they were forced from their land just a few kilometres away from settler violence. They say they are most vulnerable to displacement and they have very few options to defend themselves.
Those with the options say they'll continue to defend their land, but few are holding on to the hope of a collective struggle while they remain physically divided. Laura Khan, Al Jazeera, the occupied West Bank.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.